Hello everybody, I'm back and with another review, this time considering a lot of people enjoyed the last one. However, this time I'll be going over Kishimoto's best art. And there were several great suggestions of other mangakas which I will definitely keep in mind for a future video, but I chose Kishimoto simply because I'm more familiar with his work. So let's get into it. Now right off, my favourite aspect of Kishimoto's work is the perspective he employs in his art, but more so how he gets really dynamic with his work, and this piece is the greatest example. So right off, the fisheye lens perspective creates such a dynamic and alive feel to this piece, but it is an angle very difficult to pull off. But like Toriyama, Kishimoto has a good balance of colours in his work, and to emphasise the main focal point of the piece, that being Naruto and Sasuke, is achieved. For example, you will notice that for the buildings, Kishimoto has used a light pastel purple shade for multiple elements and pretty much for all the roofs, and reuses the same beige tones pretty much for every single building with the walls, pipes, etc. And as a result, it also assists with creating unity in the design, as well as creating a good contrast between the two main focuses of this piece, as I said before, that being Sasuke and Naruto, illustrated with bright colours and the background with duller tones. It makes them clearly the main focus of the piece, without getting too lost in the details. Whereas if Kishimoto had used multiple colours to do the roofs and buildings like orange or green like you often see throughout the series, it could have drawn the focus away and made this piece feel, in addition, a little chaotic. And I will add that I like the green in the background for the trees, it adds a bit of extra variety amongst the beige tones. Now another thing that grabs my eye besides what I just mentioned every single time is the hand and foot. Just the perspective and the way the hand is drawn has a lot of variety with the various fingers moving in a fluid way. But I love just how dynamic the poses are. I mean, the shot of Naruto from behind and then I guess the head down look, I guess you could say, of Sasuke is a really different perspective I don't usually see. And there are subtle cues of movement and motion like Sasuke's foot folding inwards, just creating this motion towards the piece. And finally, might I add that all these elements, the colours, etc., the perspective, complement each other very well in the end. Like the path your eye has taken starting with Naruto, and this curvy wave motion your eye has taken, then to Sasuke, drawn in this same motion with the fisheye lens, adding to the motion even further, is spectacular. It just has so much motion in it, and will always remain one of my favourites. Now to the next piece. So starting off with the main focal point, Naruto, is clear due to the contrasted colours and being positioned closest to the viewer and the furthest up the steps with isolation to the background, and due to this there is an excellent path created for the viewer, starting with Naruto, going down to Sakura and Shikamaru, then finally through the remaining steps, feeling very dynamic and alive. But the main reason I chose this piece is the perspective. This high angle shot and perspective is beautiful, but also quite difficult to pull off, and Kishimoto did it again perfectly. Several other things that I like in general is the red for the dragon and bridge. I think this choice of colour works well in this piece and adds that bit of extra variety, and also assists with the path your eye takes. Other small things I like is this pen thing, which I couldn't find the name of, how it's just kind of floating in the air, adding to the motion, and also how well the clothes are drawn on Naruto. I also like how Sakura's drawn, with her arms and shoulders bending inward like people usually do when completely exhausted, as well as her legs being curved inward instead of being drawn straight, showing not only an added emphasis to her exhaustion, but also illustrating how well Kishimoto knows anatomy and understands how the human body moves. And then you finally have Shikamaru just chilling out. Now I was trying to decide which illustration to discuss next, and then I started looking at the cover art for the volume releases, which I have always loved, but forgot what a goldmine of illustrations there were to discuss. So I'll start off with this one for volume 17 with outstanding composition. So you have Naruto and Sasuke directly in the middle with two scrolls behind them in the direction they are positioned. Then you have this third scroll up in this circle shape, creating a sort of a visual cue to hone your focus onto them. And you also notice that the scroll follows the direction Naruto's body is depicted and follows through completely with the way Sasuke's arms are positioned, creating such a dynamic piece with movement. Again, I love the poses Kishimoto draws his characters in, always feeling fresh and unique. And I had to include another volume cover in this list because this illustration is crazy. Naruto is drawn in such a dynamic and stretched out position, but also I like how alive Kiba feels and how he's pointing at the camera. And you also have Akamaru on the back just trying to hold on. And I also can't forget Gamakichi struggling on top of Naruto. but in terms of movement, I think it is really exemplified by the fact that each character is going in the opposite direction to each other. You may also know that Gamakichi and Akamaru's body language is the same as the character they are on, and are going in the same direction, feeling unified with who they are with. And to finish this off, let's go back to something a little larger. So right away, Naruto is clearly the main focal point, illustrated well by the bright colors for his clothing, but also this giant cloth waving up in the air, which is red, and as I said before, a color that will always pull your viewer in. And without it, the focal point of this picture could change drastically, because Sasuke is positioned right in the center plane of this picture, and my eye almost did go to him at first. So without such a large object behind Naruto, it could have changed this picture a lot. But the fact that Naruto is also the most unusual in this piece, with a giant kettle and the cloth thing, as well as having his tongue out and a really exaggerated facial expression compared to the others, makes him also clearly the main focus. And additionally, there is a clear path your eyes given by the clever use of another part of the cloth coming up, kind of just guiding you to Sakura, over to Sasuke, then finally Kakashi. The colors are fairly unified with an analogous color scheme, and I also feel like the balance of positive and negative space is fairly well done in this piece. There's a lot of variety in this picture overall with all the characters, and there is also a lot of variety in this piece with the characters' facial expressions and actions, and I feel like it is an excellent piece overall. And so there we are, that's my review of some of Kishimoto's best pieces. He definitely has a lot more that I'd love to talk about, so if you like a part 2 to this one, let me know in the comments, and if you like what I do relating to art, you might want to follow me on Instagram. I'd appreciate the support, and with that, I will see you in the next video.